Hi, I'm Sid Dobrin. In this video, I'll be talking about the digital project that asks students to design a flag that conveys an argument. At the outset, I do want to offer a cautionary point about the assignment that you might want to take up with your students when you assign them this prompt. I hate to start an instructor support video with anything negative, so I hope you'll forgive me. But the first thing, and this might be evident, but I think it needs to be articulated, is that students should not, must not approach this assignment with any intent to insult, harm, malign, inflame, and so on. Despite the assignment focusing on a visual argument, which might be viewed as a non-academic exercise, all spoken and unspoken requirements and constraints of the college writing situation remain in play. The assignment fails as a learning tool if a student waves a flag that is read to be culturally insensitive, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, and so on. This assignment is not an invitation to start a fight, nor is it a blanket, undefined challenge to free speech. Second, the assignment is intended to focus on visual arguments, not written arguments, and to a degree, not even image text arguments. Granted, the POW MIA flag depicted in the book definitely makes use of an image text relationship, but I encourage students to design their flags without any writing. There are a couple of learning objectives with this assignment that I'd like to point out too, that you may want to take up with your students. First, point out to students that the arguments we read in each of the flags depicted in the chapter are not inherent to the image. They're embedded in the image culturally, and that not everyone reads the argument the same way. For example, the American flag may be read by some as an argument for freedom, while others may read it as an argument of tyranny, and others as an argument of economics. Thus, the interpretation of argument is, in many ways, dependent upon the audience's position in the given situation. I also like to explain to students that the arguments in each flag have evolved over time, in particular within cultural contexts. The American flag, for example, argued something very different in 1861 than it did in 1967, yet the implications of its symbols, as it was designed, have not vanished from its arguments. Thus, I talk with students about how designing a flag to make an argument, a USA mythology say that Betsy Ross did, is not the same activity as a flag being taken up as a symbol. This then becomes a discussion for me about invention, about how students invent their ideas and create their flags. I talk with students about the history of flags and colors. We look at examples of national flags and organizational flags and the, quote, official statements about the flag's meanings. This kind of research helps students better understand the situation of flag meaning, and it gives them a situational vocabulary to work from. Keep in mind that part of the assignment asks students to display their flags in front of the class. Students should then analyze the flags, trying to interpret their arguments, before the flag writer explains his or her intent. As a side note, usually when I make this assignment, I also ask students to read a selection from Italo Calvino's Castle of Crossed Destinies, which tells stories of travelers who by chance end up spending the night together in an enchanted castle that robs them of the ability to speak. So they spend the night telling their stories through the ordering of cards in a single tarot deck. Ultimately, the book is about how one set of images can be recorded, reordered, and interpreted many different ways. Unfortunately, we couldn't get copyright permission to include an excerpt from that book, but you should be able to share a reading from the book with your students through library or online resources. Those are just a few of the things I take into consideration with this prompt. Thanks for using Writing Situations, and thanks for watching.